let's build this blog. So first and foremost, what we're going to need is a GitHub account. Go ahead and make a GitHub account. Pause the video, go create it, be logged in, come back. Next thing we're going to need is a Sanity.io account. So we're going to go to sanity.io, create an account, just be ready to go. And a Vercel account. So going to vercel.com, and you actually don't even need to create a Vercel account. Once you create your GitHub account, you can log into Vercel using GitHub. GitHub is going to host our code, Sanity is going to host our content, and Vercel is actually going to host and serve our website. So if you don't know what any of those things are, that's okay. But we're going to walk through how in a short period of time you can create your own blog using this template that I've built, and really just change a couple of lines of code and you're ready to go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, if you do have GitHub installed on your computer, you can clone this repository, or you can just download the zip file from the repo. Now, we can just drag this over to our desktop, unzip it, open it up, and we have everything that we need. We've got our API file, which is what's actually going to send the browser, or the browser on your phone or the browser on your computer, our pages and our data. We have this dev folder that you don't have to worry about. We have our index file, which is our home page, and we have our post file, which is our template for our individual blog posts. In here we've got a couple of files that we'll need, but you're not going to need to touch any of these, and we don't need our Vercel, or we need our vercel.json file for Vercel to actually tell it what to do, but you don't have to worry about this file either. Where we're going to do everything is in our index and in our post files. That's it. So, before we get there, we need to open up our terminal, make sure we have npm installed, and you're also going to want to go, you're going to need Node.js, so I'll link a tutorial to install Node.js somewhere, wherever I host this, wherever I post it. So, let's go ahead and install the Sanity command line. This is going to let us create a project for our content management system, which is Sanity.io, and we can host all of our content up there. Photos, if you wanted to do videos, you could, but we're just going to look at a basic blog with, text and photo posts. So once Sanity is installed, should only take a minute, we can go to just go to our desktop. We can change our directory to our desktop. If we use the pwd command, which is print working directory, we'll see we're in our desktop. And then we can just type sanity init, which is initialize. Yes, we can add it. And if this is the first time doing it, you'll have to sign in to your Sanity account, which you'll just do by typing your username and password into the command line. And once you're ready to go, you just hit create new project. We'll name it Simple Blog. I'm going to name mine Simple Blog. I think I have another name for it in a different project already. And once we hit enter, we'll just have some default options. We'll just say yes, hit enter to say yes, go down to blog, which is going to give us a really nice template for our content. It's going to create and install everything we need. And once we're done, Sanity even tells us what to do. So we're already in our desktop, so we can change directory to Simple Blog. Hit type in sanity start, and this will give us our, this will just give us our development environment. So it'll test that our Content Studio is ready to go. It'll prompt you to log in. You'll log in with the same credentials that you use to log into Sanity. So whatever you log into sanity.io with, you'll use to log into your localhost 3333. This is how we get to our content editor. So you'll see we have no documents in here, but what we can just do is create a new document. Call this first post. Generate a slug. You don't need to create authors unless you want to. I don't think I use it in my template for the sites, so we can ignore that. You can upload a main image nice and easily. Give it some categories. I don't think I use categories either. And we'll give it a publish date. This is how we sort all of our blog content. And then once we click into blog, we're good to go, and we will publish. So once we hit publish in our development environment, content's ready to go. We can start working on the rest of the project. Now, before we do that, in order to actually get everything to work correctly, we don't need to deploy it, but we might as well. So we'll deploy it now. Call it Easiest Blog. So you'll have to use your own name because these are specific. Once it deploys, it's going to send everything up to Sanity. And by the time we're done here, we'll be able to come into all of our projects in our Sanity account. We should see it here somewhere. Might have to refresh. And there it is, Simple Blog. So we're going to need this project ID, which I'll come back to. But now we can go to this URL that it gives us, and we can actually log in to a hosted version of this editor. So you can see we've now got our post we put up here, and this actually lives on the internet, accessible from anywhere. So super easy to add and edit your posts on the go or from your computer. So we are done with the terminal, I believe. Might have to go back to it. Now that we've got our Sanity project hosted, we'll just leave this here for a moment, and we'll go in and open up our index.html file. And if you're using a code editor like VS Code or maybe Sublime Text or something like that, you should just be able to drag and drop it right in. And what we'll do is we'll go and grab this project ID, copy it. We'll go over to line 16 and just change this first part before .api.sanity.io. Change that one. And that is literally all we need to do in this file. You could go in here and change the title. You could change these titles. Change any of this content if you're familiar with HTML. It's fairly simple. And you know, let's just go in here and do it. To build again. We'll add again to the title. Save it. We've put our project ID in here, and that is all we need to do. That's all we need to touch. Now we can go over to our post HTML file. Open that up in our code editor. And we will just replace that here in line 20 under project ID. And here in line 26, again before api.sanity.io. And once again, that's all we need to do. That's it. From there, what we can do, we can close this out, and if you want to, if repositories and GitHub and all that stuff is not super familiar to you, GitHub has this super easy to use GitHub desktop, and from the menu here, so up here in current repository, we'll hit add existing repository. We'll go to our directory that we downloaded and made all our changes in, and it'll tell us that it doesn't appear to be a Git repository, so we'll create one here and hit create. Now you see it down here in this list at the bottom. You can hit publish. So we'll see that it's added all these files, which is great. It's exactly what we want. We'll hit publish, let it do its thing, and when we go over to GitHub, we've got our code and all of our files up in GitHub. Now that we've got these in GitHub, we'll go over to Vercel. You should be signed in. Sign in with your GitHub account info. That'll let you load all your projects. And we will add our new repository. If you're doing this for the first time, if you're not, not an engineer or not a programmer, this will be your only project. We'll hit import. We'll leave all these settings the same, and we'll deploy. So Vercel is going to do its thing. Basically, it's going to put all of our code onto their servers and make it accessible from the internet. Should only take about 20-30 seconds since there isn't really much for Vercel to do. It's going to install some stuff probably and assign some domains, and we're done. So you'll see that if we actually click on that photo and go to the link, nothing's loading, because we need to take this URL, go back to Sanity, into our project, go to API, scroll down to CORS origins, which is our cross-origin control. So basically it only lets your blog load this data. It keeps basically your account from being spammed by bots or someone who wants to, load your content somewhere else for whatever reason. We'll place our URL in here, we'll hit save, and if we go back to our project and refresh it, so now our data is loading, and we will see if we go into one of our posts, boom, we've got our first blog post. Now let's go back and update our blog. So if we go to our studio URL, so our hosted Sanity Content Studio, let's go in here and let's add a photo into our post. Cool. We'll just upload the same image. And there it is. Hit publish, and we can go back to our post and reload, and there it is. So, this might need a little bit of styling, but in a handful of minutes, we've got a fully functional, hosted, free custom blog that we can edit to our heart's desire.